Harris Simulcast product. If you were here 2 years ago, I did a talk on Simulcast optimization using ComStudy software. And ComStudy software is not the best documented thing in the world. And if you want to do that, I suggest you, if you want to use it for Simulcast, I suggest you download my presentation from 2 years ago and it explains how to use it to do basically timing. In the Harris multiplexer, you can do an offset on timing, so everything, one site will launch, and then you can set your other sites to launch so many microseconds off of that as a delay. And so I use the software to optimize this. And the way this works is the only area you're really interested in here is the bright pink area. And in this particular one, I use 60 microsecond delay, 10 dB or less carrier interfere as a criteria. So this is a picture of the system where every site launches at the same time. And then by the time you've done optimizing, this doesn't take very long, probably about a half hour playing around with the values. It's not an automated system, you have to figure it out yourself, but between all the different sites, you have a delay of no delay to 70 microsecond launch delay. And you can see that, if we go to the previous one, you can see that whole area there disappears. And that was basically by just controlling the launch delay. So I highly recommend if you do a simulcast system and you're doing this level of engineering, that you have this software package or something like it and do this, because that makes a huge difference. And this system sounds beautiful almost everywhere. This line you see here is actually, the county has a big ridge that goes up right there, and what you're seeing is the edge of the ridge. Really, there's really not much there. And simulcast, that's very hard to fix in a simulcast system if you've got a ridge or a mountain and you're sort of on a mountainside and that kind of thing. But you can see how much that does. All we did was change delay, nothing else. And that's what you get. So this is our main site installation. This was a new tower that got put up that replaced another tower. They had almost AT&T quad pod kind of towers that have been up for 45 years. You would think one of those, they were designed to withstand a nuclear blast at 20 miles, And you send it out for the tower study, and they say it can't stand under its own weight. I mean, it's really something else. But then the guy sent us some pictures of some that had collapsed, so I guess there was some truth to it. But that was replaced. The type of design I like to use, if you look at the antennas on the top, there's basically these antennas below the top of the tower to transmit, and then the antenna on the top is a receive. There's a second antenna up there we use for P25 transmit, but all the other sites would have the receive antenna on the top, a 6 dB gain folded dipole type antenna. And then this one has 2 transmit antennas because the spacing for the combiners wasn't such that you could get it all into one. Otherwise you could use one antenna. And I always put the receive antenna on the top, sticking above the top, because then you have no tower shadowing in any direction. And you're trying to pick up the portables. Then on the side, put the 6-foot side marks, put the transmit antennas on the side. And it'll actually put that, and anyone's ever dealt with VHF and really looked into it, you do get tower shadowing. You do get tower shadowing at 6 foot off, no matter what you do. So we'll use this to orient the antenna in the particular direction that works best for coverage for that particular site, or in some cases, for simulcast interference. Because you can put that into ComStudy, you can actually put the pattern in there, you can twist it around and get a little bit better on your say your interference zone and that kind of thing. That's sort of the standard configuration we like to use. Okay, moving on to Adams County, Wisconsin. This is a 7-site simulcast system. This is basically as a brand new master site right here at their highway shop, and then spurs out to 6 other sites. In Wisconsin, we have a cell company, US Cellular. They're very friendly to public safety, extremely low rents. So a lot of these towers use US Cellular towers, and it really keeps the cost of the system down for the customer. Same kind of coverage prod. This is a forward link, and this is a reverse link. And as long as they're yellow and better, we're okay. So don't really have many coverage issues that we get back from the customer. This is a 4-channel system. Adams County is smaller than Fond du Lac County. Fond du Lac County population about 80,000 total. Usually when you get up to about that size, you tend to have 2 law enforcement channels, a fire channel, paving channel, and highway channel, so you end up with about 5 channels. This county, about 22,000 people. In that case, they really only have 1 law enforcement channel. They don't even have local law enforcement. They just have a sheriff's department. A couple of little tiny 1 or 2 squad kind of local departments that get dispatched on the sheriff's channel. Then you have a paving channel, an EG channel, which is essentially your fire channel in this county, and then a highway channel. So that's pretty typical configuration. So 7 site board simulcast. Here again, going through the optimization using the delay. In this particular case, the delay was optimized, I think, between 0 and about 40 or 45 microseconds. And if we go back and forth, you can see the difference there. So here's before, and then here's after. So can't always get all of this out of here, but in general, you go in that and it's just over the threshold is what's happening. I could change 1 or 2 parameters and make this thing. I could change 1 or 2 parameters and make this thing look all perfect. And it would still sound great. I sort of picked, in this particular case, I picked the 40 microsecond delay because it shows basically it showed the change the best by optimizing the time. So this is our installation at this site, and same things going on up at the top. We have a receive antenna on the top, and then we have the transmit antennas just below that. All of our sites, we use TXRX filtering, put all the Quantars in a row, motors in a row, and that type of thing. And then we have a kind of a switch panel. I showed that in a presentation, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. We decided our next generation system to switch to the convex box to do all that type of operation. So go through here. Lesson learned from these 2 systems. First of all, just want to step back and go at least our company's philosophy in doing simulcast. I would say there's sort of 2 general philosophies in doing a simulcast system. The first philosophy is to make sure, the one we use, is everything in the system is non-variable. In other words, all the transmitters are phase and amplitude matched. You know, all the microwave or whatever you have is digital, so it doesn't change. The time delay is automatically set. So once you optimize it once, you're done. So your audio path, if you're running things through 4-wire cards and things like that, all the 4-wire cards have to operate identically, have the same phase delay, all that kind of thing if you want it to operate the same. And that's one of the reasons we use Harris multiplexers, because basically another big part of Harris's business is broadcast, and they use that for simulcasting their broadcast. So all their cards are just designed for simulcast to have the same response, regardless of when they're manufactured or regardless of when they came out. Same goes for the Motorola Quantar. The Motorola Quantar is what's used in Motorola systems for simulcast, so everyone comes out and it's exactly the same. The other philosophy you can have is you can have sort of a self-adjusting system. In this case, anything in there might vary, including the transmitters. The transmitters might not match, for example. And then you have some kind of a system. It's like an equalization system. You have a monitor receiver. It manually or automatically sends something out, and then it sort of equalizes the whole system for whatever variable that's in there. That's the other. I mean, they both have their advantages and disadvantages. This is the kind of system we like to use because once you're done, you're done. It just stays that way for years. So any time delay changes is handled by the Harris Simulcast. So we like to keep the backhaul type inside the system so that the system can operate completely independent of public infrastructure. And with our customers, we get them to all go microwave for that reason. If the world goes to hell, as long as they keep the generators full of fuel at the sites, the system will keep operating regardless of anything else that's going on. We always use licensed microwave, and when anything changes, there's a noise floor comes up in the future with unlicensed. We use relay keying. I mean, you can tone key your transmitters, but in a Quantar you can turn that off, and we use relay keying. So you don't have to deal with basically the phase change that occurs right around where the tone keying filter is. We had done one system for a while where we did use it with Tone Key and it was fine. It turns out our modal with Wantar, that'll line up too. But it feels better with Simulcast to just relay key rather than to Tone Key. Phase reversal is always a tough thing, and our way of doing it is the guys try to keep the pairs all matched up all the way through, but sometimes they're reversing. We just check that during optimization, and then we just flip the pair. That's a lot easier than trying to trace it through, and then it'll always get goofed up at least one place or another when they reverse the pair. So, some of the lessons we learned, first of all, we now staged the entire system at a single location before we take it out to the field, and like in our garage or something like that. That just works a lot better if you're doing that rather than trying to optimize it on here. You can do that with or without the microwave because you can always just hook the multiplexers up back to back. And advice is test your Harris remote access before you get there. There's some settings you have to set on the Harris multiplexer so that you can access it remotely. And more than one time you sit down to optimize and all this, and we try to log into one of the multiplexers and all of a sudden that setting isn't set. And somebody has to go there and set that so you can access it remotely. So we started using the SNV12. Excellent product, excellent voter if you ask me. Works a little different than some other voters in the past, like the SpectraTech. The SNV basically at VHF it's a noise voter. It's not typically used as a signal to noise voter. And if you try to use it as signal to noise, it doesn't work as good as just the noise voter at FM. Now, what happens when you do that is that it works fine for everyday operation. What happens is weird things happen if you lose connectivity or you lose something to a site. Because if you, say you have somebody keys up and they have 6 sites coming in on your voter and one of them has no audio, it'll pick that one. You know, in a signal to noise voter, it won't do that because it'll signal to noise. But in noise, it'll just say, hey, this is a low noise signal. Pick that one, suddenly you'll just have dead audio. And we sort of learned this by experience. Now, inside the SNV12, there are some things you can set to sort of help this. One is there's basically a timer that says if I don't see any audio for 10 seconds, it'll take itself out. So you'll only have 10 seconds of no audio. Second of all, there's a 3-minute overall timer. And that becomes important if for some reason in this first 10 seconds or whatever, you have a little bit of audio and that doesn't kick in, suddenly you can be going for that kind of thing. You'd say, why 3 minutes? Well, let's say you lose a multiplexer path or something goes wrong with the multiplexer and you just get dead audio coming in. So